After my rebirth, when Julian's little secretary, Chloe, once again accidentally spilled red wine on my face while ring me a drink, giggling like it was a joke. I didn't slap her like I did in my past life. I didn't scream for a divorce like a shrew when Julian rushed to defend her. Instead, I smiled calmly at Julian. She's really cute. Have fun playing with her. Let's consider our 7th anniversary celebration over. Early. I'm going home. With that, I grabbed my bag and walked out of the private room without looking back. I had no choice. After divorcing Julian in my last life, my life was a living hell. He crushed me like a business rival, gripping his assets so tight I couldn't get a cent. I hired every lawyer in the city, but all I got in the divorce settlement was literally $7.50. Right after the divorce, I was diagnosed with cancer. I didn't expect Julian to chase after me. He grabbed my arm. Let me explain, Sarah. Chloe is just young and playful. She spilled the wine to lighten the mood, to make you laugh. She doesn't have bad intentions. We grew up together. She's always been mischievous. She treats you like family, so she sometimes forgets boundaries. Don't hold a grudge against her. Julian said these exact words in my past life. Back then, humiliated by the wine dripping down my face and shaking with rage, hearing him defend her so tenderly. When the pain became unbearable, I swallowed my pride and knelt before Julian. But he let his secretary slap me 3 times and didn't give me a penny. In the end, penniless and broken, I froze to death on the doorstep of the home I had lived in for 7 years. So, dignity? Dignity is nothing compared to staying alive. I didn't expect Julian to chase after me. He grabbed my arm. Let me explain, Sarah. Chloe is just young and playful. She spilled the wine to lighten the mood, to make you laugh. She doesn't have bad intentions. We grew up together. She's always been mischievous. She treats you like family, so she sometimes forgets boundaries. Don't hold a grudge against her. Julian said these exact words in my past life. Back then, humiliated by the wine dripping down my face and shaking with rage, hearing him defend her so tenderly was the last straw. I slapped him in front of all our friends, screamed divorce, and ran out. I was so stupid then. I thought threatening divorce would scare him. Instead, I walked for 4 hours in the freezing winter rain, tears streaming down my face. My heels rubbed my feet raw until they bled. I ended up with a 104-degree fever. While I lay dying in our empty house, Julian didn't call once. That very night, he took Chloe on an overseas business trip. Photos of him adjusting her spaghetti strap dress and her kissing his cheek even made it onto the company gossip forums. The irony was too much. A cynical smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. The next second, Julian angrily shook off my hand. How many times do I have to tell you? Chloe is the daughter of my dad's friend. I'm just looking out for her. It's just a little wine spill. Go home and wash it off. Can you stop being jealous over nothing and imagining things between us? Seeing the sudden anger on his face, a bitterness rose in my chest. Not for him, but for my past self. In my last life, after the divorce, I got pancreatic cancer. The king of cancers. Every day was either nurses poking me with long needles until I cried, or rolling on the floor clutching my stomach, begging for death to come faster. When I ran out of money, I even stabbed myself with a fruit knife, hoping the pain would distract me enough to sleep. Yet even then, I couldn't bear to sell our wedding ring for pain meds. When the doctor gave me a month to live, I dragged my skeletal body to find him, hoping to reconcile. After all, when my parents died, he swore he'd be with me forever. I knelt before the security guard at our old home, begging him to call Julian. When Julian picked up, he heard my voice and said calmly, "Sarah, we're divorced. Divorce means we have nothing to do with each other. Don't contact me again." He hung up. I collapsed in the backyard of the villa where we lived for 7 years. As soon as I got home, I went straight to my room. I called the hospital and booked an appointment with a specialist for a full checkup tomorrow. Whether in the past life or this one, I really want to live. Just as I hung up, Julian suddenly came back. I don't know. In the final moments of my life, I saw him holding Chloe in the house I had lovingly decorated, drinking from the wine glasses I bought, having a romantic date. The pain in my chest was suffocating. I didn't want to remember anymore. I quickly hid my emotions and smiled calmly. Julian, I'm really not jealous. And I'm really not angry at Chloe. I'm just tired and want to go home. You should go back inside. Surprise flashed across Julian's face. Before he could react, I turned and walked away down the street without a backward glance. As soon as I got home, I went straight to my room. I called the hospital and booked an appointment with a specialist for a full checkup tomorrow. Whether in the past life or this one, I really want to live. Just as I hung up, Julian suddenly came back. I don't know
Why?
He loosened his tie impatiently. What did you mean back there on the street? Sarah, can you stop throwing attitude for no reason? Ever since Chloe became his secretary, Julian had become incredibly harsh towards me. He found fault with everything I did. His attitude changed, and Chloe's provocations were why I acted crazy in my last marriage. I endured the suffocating pain in my chest and turned around calmly. Julian, believe it or not, I'm not angry. I'm not being unreasonable, and I'm not throwing attitude. Look, I've already washed my face. I'm not mad at you, and I certainly wouldn't dare be mad at Chloe. With that, I ignored him, went into the bathroom, and locked the door. When I came out, he was gone. Instead, my phone started buzzing nonstop. It was Chloe's habit. Whenever she was with Julian, she would spam me with photos of their life together. She treated me like her personal cloud storage. In my last life, this made me cry or scream at Julian constantly. But now, looking at the photos, I didn't curse her. Instead, I replied earnestly, "Your angle is off." Julian sighed. "Profile is better. Hold the phone higher next time. Also, crop the photo tighter. Less background makes you look more intimate." As soon as I sent it, Chloe replied, "Did you get hacked?" I sent a smiley face.
No.
"Just letting you know, you can have him." Then I blocked her. This triangular property relationship works for me. I want the title of Mrs. Thorne and the supplementary card. Julian's body and heart? Chloe can have them. Unlike my past self, I'm not stupid enough to want his love
Anymore.
After dealing with Chloe, I lay in bed and closed my eyes. Even though I was reborn, I didn't sleep well. Just like when I had cancer, I kept dreaming of our past. When we were kids, Julian was introverted. His mother, a strict teacher, used to beat him. Often at midnight, while I was asleep, he would still be doing homework in his thick glasses. His mom would stand there with a stick, hitting his back for every mistake. I lived across the street. Seeing him beaten made me pity him. So on the way to school, I would sneak candy into his backpack and whisper, "Julian, eat one when your back hurts." The first time I did it, he turned red and ran away. 100 meters later, he whispered, I don't eat candy." I waved at him. "Julian, you should talk more. Your voice is
nice."
After that, it became a habit. The lonely boy started waiting for me in the alley, waiting for his candy. We walked through countless springs, summers, and winters together. When we were 18, Julian became the top student in the county and got into a prestigious university. He awkwardly handed me a slip of paper. I checked. "This college is near mine. 10 minutes walk. Your scores aren't good enough for a bachelor's, but you can do an associate's degree there." I looked at his nervous face. I didn't tell him my parents had already decided to pay for a private university so I could get a bachelor's degree. I secretly changed my application to be near him.
My
parents gave me a mixed doubles beating, but I never regretted it. We went to the same city. Away from his mother, Julian blossomed. He got contacts, grew out his buzz cut, and changed his style. He traded plaid shirts for white button-downs and black sneakers for white ones. I didn't know why he changed until I was screaming at a concert for my favorite idol. Julian grabbed me, eyes red. I changed into the type you like. Can't you like me yet? The word like hit me like a hammer. Even at different schools, I heard of the legend of Julian, the tech god. Freshman year, he led the team to win a national competition. Sophomore year, he got offers from big tech giants. There were even forum posts tracking his glow up. I thought an ocean separated us, that we'd only ever be friends.
But he said he liked me.
Thick-skinned as always, I stood on my tiptoes and kissed him, without hesitation. We started dating. My life became feeding him bubble tea.
And desserts.
I had no career plans, just planning our
Dates.
Julian's life was on a rocket ship. Graduate school, startup, multiple rounds of funding. By the time he got his PhD, his tech company was top 10 in the industry. My life went the opposite way. I failed the transfer exam to a bachelor's program. After graduation, I lived off Julian. Then my doting parents died in a car crash rushing to see me when I was hospitalized for pneumonia. Orphaned, I cried over their bodies. Julian knelt beside me, ignoring his mother's glare, and swore to take care of me forever. We got married. I had multiple miscarriages. Then he met Chloe. He started disliking me for having no
Depth.
I only knew how to ask what to eat. Chloe could talk about art and the future of the internet. With him, tears soaked my pillow. When I opened my eyes, it was
Dawn.
just like in my last life. I woke up crying. Julian sent a WeChat message. Visiting my mom at the nursing home this afternoon. I replied calmly. Busy today. No time. Julian called immediately. What are you busy with? Sarah, how many times do I have to say it? There's nothing between me and Chloe. Why are you clinging to small things? A sneer formed on my lips. Since his success, Julian spoke in short, concise sentences. This was the first time he rambled defensively. He was trying to convince himself he hadn't fallen for her, trying to lessen his guilt. My heart ached, but I explained calmly, Julian, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to the hospital for a checkup. I really can't go. Also, your mom has a heart condition and hates me.
Me.
Not going is better for her health. She likes Chloe, says. Only Chloe is worthy of you. Why don't you take her? I genuinely meant it as good advice. But Julian exploded. Sarah, keep acting out. See where it gets you. He hung up. I listened to the dial tone, smiling bitterly. This is the difference between love and no love. When he loved me, a slight frown from me would make him panic and ask what he did wrong. Now, even my sincere advice is seen as throwing a tantrum. I didn't waste time. I went to the hospital. I didn't even bring my phone, afraid it would affect my mood. This checkup was crucial. It would determine if I followed the same path as my last life. For 7 days, I stayed in the hospital, undergoing biopsies and drawing tubes of blood. I have to thank Julian's connections and bank card for
This.
I used his name. The expert doctor I couldn't get an appointment with for a month in my last life now visited me first. Every morning. Last time, without money, I sold bags and jewelry. I waited hours for blood draws and weeks for CT scans. Now I lay in a VIP room, nurses coming to me. The result was bittersweet.
Cancer, yes.
Pancreatic cancer, but early stage. The doctor looked regretful, but I cried tears of joy. Everyone thought I was scared. Only I knew I was happy, because I finally had a chance to live. I started chemo immediately. In this life, I had money, the best doctors, and imported
Drugs.
compared to the side effects of cheap drugs in my last life. This was manageable. I lost my hair and weight, but I had the energy to walk around. With pain meds, I didn't suffer the excruciating agony of the late stages. After a month, the doctor gave me hope. 2 more cycles and I could likely be discharged. It was a spark of hope that started a fire in my heart.
In my
Last life, my biggest dream was just to live. But just as I was about to pay for the third cycle, the hospital told me my supplementary card had been frozen. I was calm. As long as I wasn't divorced, he had to pay for my treatment. I asked for leave and took a cab to Julian's company. The receptionist stopped me. "Sorry, miss, you need an appointment to see Mr. Thorne." I smiled and pulled out my marriage certificate. "Can I see him with this?" The receptionist looked at it and stood up in panic. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Thorne. I didn't know." I shook my head and followed her to the elevator.
People stared at me.
I knew I looked ugly, bald, wearing a thick down jacket over hospital pajamas.
But I didn't feel ashamed.
In my last life, desperate for money, I came here too. But I never made it past the door. Back then, I only had a divorce certificate, not a marriage.
1.
I reached the top floor and heard laughter from the secretary's office. "Secretary Chloe, Mr. Thorne asked me to find a lawyer to draft a divorce agreement. Is he finally doing it?"
About time.
We've never even seen his wife. Probably some unpresentable woman. Heard she has an associate's degree. She just got lucky. A man like Mr. Thorne deserves one like you.
Exactly.
Last time I went with him to see clients, they all asked why you weren't there. Said without you, he has no spirit to drink. Chloe laughed lightly. "Don't talk nonsense. Mr. Thorne and I are just friends.
My
Dad admires him, so I came to learn. I won't do anything until he divorces, though it should be soon." I sneered. Is this the difference? Before Chloe, Julian was strict. No gossip allowed. Now they could say whatever they wanted. I smiled calmly and pushed open the glass door. "Sorry to interrupt. Your Mr. Thorne won't be divorced.
He'll
be widowed." Everyone looked at me in horror. Chloe's face cracked. She panicked, looking around. "What are you doing here? Didn't Julian say you weren't allowed in the company?" I met her gaze. "When did Julian tell you I wasn't allowed?" I pulled a card from my bag. "Did you freeze this card? Or did Julian?" Chloe turned red. "How would I know?" I nodded.
Fine.
"I'll ask Julian." I turned toward his office. Chloe rushed over and grabbed my wrist, right where the 4-needle was still inserted. "You can't go in. He's in a meeting." Pain shot up my arm. The needle must have shifted. I frowned, pushed her away, and slapped her face. Chloe covered her cheek in disbelief. I rolled up my sleeve. Blood was oozing out, the needle twisted in my flesh. I pulled it out, pressed the bleeding hole, and frowned. "You drew blood first. That's why I hit you. You've had shots. You know how much a shifted needle hurts. Don't blame me." Chloe covered her face, glaring at me with hatred. "Why did you hit me?" "I'm his secretary. He's in a meeting."
I stopped you.
What did I do wrong? I knew in my last life she didn't understand human language. Didn't expect it to be the same in this one. I sighed and looked at the other secretaries. "You guys understood my explanation, right?" They looked terrified, afraid to nod or shake their heads. Just then, the office door opened. Julian walked out, frowning at me. "What are you doing here?" Before I could speak, Chloe threw herself into his arms. "Julian, Sarah hit me." Julian's face showed annoyance. I raised my wrist calmly. She grabbed me and caused the needle to slip. Julian looked me up and down and scolded. "Where have you been messing around to look like a ghost?" I smiled bitterly. "Look at this. I look like death, and he thinks I was partying. I wasn't messing around. I was in the hospital. I told you I
was sick.
Unfortunately, it's cancer. If you don't believe me, check the hospital records." Julian's pupils shrank. He pushed Chloe away and walked
Towards me.
"Cancer?"
How?
Seeing the panic in his eyes, I met his gaze calmly. "Pancreatic cancer. I'm in chemo, but you froze my card.
I
have no money for treatment. I had to risk infection to come ask for money. So, Julian, will you pay for my life?" I said the last 6 words with provocation, even a smirk. In my last life, I begged him countless times. Every time I failed, Julian trembled. His shock turned into immense pain. Then he roared. Sarah, why didn't you tell me you were sick? You didn't answer calls for 2 months through everything. Out of the house, because you were in the hospital? Do you know I've been looking for you?
You didn't take
Your phone, you disappeared, just to secretly treat yourself. He was still blaming me. I smiled. So, will you reactivate the card? If not, I'll go sell my bags. The doctor says I need 2 more cycles to be discharged. Julian looked terrified. Can you stop smiling? I smiled again. No, Julian. I fought hard to stay alive. I turned and walked out without another glance. When I got back to the hospital, the card was active. Nurses told me Julian wanted to visit. I smiled. Visit me?
Why?
The Sarah who wanted his company died. In the last life, I stayed in the hospital, avoiding going downstairs. Sometimes when I slept, I felt a presence by my bed. I knew it was him. I pretended not to know. I really didn't want to waste my breath on him. I stayed in the hospital for 2 more months before being discharged. That same day, I flew abroad. I settled in a quiet town in Europe, walking dogs, growing flowers. It was nice. Julian came to find me a few times. Each time, he stood outside my door all night and left the next day. I knew why. He had regained his memories of the past life. One night in the hospital, while I pretended to sleep, he
Cried and told me.
He said in the last life, he didn't know I suffered so much. After the divorce, he was just angry I wanted to leave him. That's why he ignored me. He said the next day, when he found my frozen body at the villa gate, he realized how much he regretted it. He realized what he had lost. He said a lot, soaking my hospital gown with tears. Lying there listening, it was hard to pretend to sleep.
I
Almost slapped him several times, but I held back. I really didn't want to walk the old path again. So I silently pretended not to know, not to hear. After that, I followed the doctor's orders. Checkups, meds. 5 years later, with no recurrence, I finally got the clean bill of health. I stood outside the hospital crying, shaking. I changed the ending. That same day, I mailed the divorce papers to Julian. That night, he appeared at my door. I calmly invited him up. Julian, let's talk. Julian came up. Seeing me, his eyes turned red. Sarah, can we not divorce? I looked him in the eye. Then can you give me half your assets? Company shares, properties, everything. Julian panicked. The company shares are complicated, so, Sarah? Equals. I cut him off. I stood up and looked out the window at the falling snow. Do you know what the doctor told Sarah before she died? He said she couldn't go out. Her body was too weak, she would die. But Sarah dragged herself out of the hospital.
She said
she had regrets. She said the old Julian promised to be with her forever. She said she wanted to die in Julian's arms. She said she had no family left, just herself. Cancer was so painful. She wanted a little warmth at the end. She won. Ted the boy with the thick glasses to feed her candy, just like she used to feed him. So even though it hurt so much, she used her last burst of energy to find you. And you? You picked up the phone and told her you were divorced, that you had nothing to do with each other, and hung up. I turned to look at him. Julian, you failed Sarah's deep love. You love fame, you love being CEO, you even love other women. But in Sarah's life, she only loved you. Tears slid down my face. Even though I stopped thinking of myself as that Sarah, the past life still hurt. It hurt so much that my heart trembled just talking about
it.
I wiped my tears and spoke again. So, Julian, divorce. You figure out the assets. I didn't look at the man sitting in the living room, tears dripping into his teacup. I went to my room. When I woke up the next day, there was a cold cup of tea and a signed divorce agreement on the table. The lawyers handled it. It was fast and smooth, just like
last time.
The only difference was my settlement wasn't $7.50. It was $50 million. Looking at the number in my account, I cried again. In this life, I finally got what I wanted by playing the victim and enduring. I changed my name to Phoenix, reborn from ashes. Then I left again. No one knows where I went. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm happy. Having money, time, and a life is really good. The end. Julian's epilogue. Sarah got sick. Cancer. Watching her leave my office, it felt like a hole was punched in my heart. This scene felt like it had happened before. I followed her to the hospital in a panic. I wanted to take care of her, but the nurse said no. Sarah didn't want to see
Me.
She said Sarah went to a crowded place, used too much energy, and was suffering now. I stood outside her room, watching her vomit violently, yet smiling. My eyes turned red. Afraid of crying in front of the nurse, I ran out of the hospital to a deserted corner, curled up, and sobbed in pain. I didn't know why this was happening. Just like I didn't know when the girl who was always my little son started crying all the time. That night, my dream gave me the answer. I dreamed of my past life, the ugly fight with Sarah. She was always jealous of Chloe, always crying and making a scene. I was annoyed. No matter how I explained that there was nothing between me and Chloe, she didn't believe me. She put a tracker on my phone, hired a PI, even called the cops to catch us in bed. Maybe because of her tantrums, or out of spite, I slept with Chloe after a client meeting. Sarah caught us. Seeing the victorious look in her eyes, I was stung. I demanded a divorce, insulting her with a $7.50 settlement. Sarah hadn't worked for years, relying on me. I wanted to see how she'd survive. When lawyers told her she'd get nothing, the sorrow in her eyes paused me. I regretted insulting her, but she slapped me and scratched my face. I was furious again. Yes, Sarah. Divorce me and you'll live worse than a dog. Her face went pale. Julian, I'll live well just to show you. She left. Out of spite, I refused to see her when she came back. When she tried to stop my car, I kissed Chloe in front of her. When she came to the house, I acted intimate with
Chloe.
I admit I had feelings for Chloe, but which man only sleeps with one woman forever?
I
Wanted Sarah to accept fate, to tolerate my flings. Business requires it sometimes. Even after the divorce, I missed her. Missed her terribly. But I held back. I didn't expect to wait for her corpse. I'll never forget the despair of seeing her frozen body at the gate. I ran to hug her, hoping she'd open her eyes, kiss me on tiptoes, turn on the lights for me when I came home.
Me.
But Sarah was dead. The police said she died of cancer. Because she had no money, she lived on the worst meds the hospital provided out of charity. The receptionist told me Sarah came many times, once kneeling to beg to see me. The receptionist softened, but Chloe stopped her. Sarah never saw me. Hearing this, I shook with grief. Pain pierced me like a
Blade.
I couldn't imagine how painful it was for Sarah, sick with cancer, to come find me. In my rage after the funeral, I kicked Chloe out. She begged, saying Sarah was dead but she was pregnant with my
Child.
I laughed miserably. No one knew that when I was a boy with thick glasses, suicidal under my mother's pressure, it was Sarah's candy. That melted me. It was the girl in pajamas waving at me at midnight who saved me. I lived to give her the best life.
But why?
Why did I betray her? I didn't soften at Chloe's
Tears.
I gave her father a deal to make her abort the child. Then, I swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills, hugging Sarah's ashes, and died. Seeing the past life, I hated myself. What hurt more was realizing Sarah was reborn too. She really had no feelings for me anymore. She didn't want my care for her cancer. She didn't want to talk to me. Her eyes were cold and hard. I wanted to win her back, but I didn't know how. I could only fly to see her every few days. I dared not go in. Without me, she lived well. Arranging flowers, she smiled freely. Riding her bike, she looked like a free butterfly. Watching her, I realized the Sarah who married me was truly unhappy. I watched over her for 5 years. Finally, after her checkup, I got the divorce agreement I
feared.
I didn't want a divorce, but Sarah wanted to talk. She asked how much money I'd give her. I hesitated, not because I didn't want to give it, but I was afraid that money, the only thing I had left, couldn't keep her. But then she talked about her past life. Guilt stabbed my heart. I didn't dare look at her. After she went to her room, I collapsed on the sofa. I sat there all night. I made the decision to let her go, even if it hurt. It hurt so much. Suffocatingly painful. Sure enough, after getting the money, she vanished.
She
Gave me no chance to see her again. After she left, my depression returned. Insomnia. Hallucinations. I imagined Sarah was still home. Then, scenes of her frozen body would flash in my mind. 3 years after she disappeared, on the anniversary of my suicide in the past life, I took sleeping pills again. Before dying, I really wanted to see Sarah one more time. But even after death, my soul guarding my coffin for 7 days, she never came. My soul drifted to a foreign land. I saw a pregnant Sarah, walking with a stranger. She was laughing happily. The man rubbed her head gently. Watching this, my soul cried until I was soaked. Then my soul faded away. The end.